Welcome back. Today's videos is still on Python basics, a chapter, and we are looking at simple expressions and operators. And this is our roadmap we'll be following for the subsequent videos. I'm just bringing this here so that we kind of keep track as to where we are and where we are going. All right, straight to our code. Today's video is on expressions, and we'll be looking at arithmetics, comparison, and logical expressions. There are many more, but I decided to have just these for start, and maybe the subsequent videos I'll add parts to it, or part 1 or part 2 or part 3 and part 4, until we cover all possible types of expressions. So an expression is just a combination of values, variables, and operators. We already know what a value could be. It could be a number, could be a float, it could be a whole number, it could be a negative number. Doesn't matter. Those are values. And then variables are basically a result is a variable. It's something that contains something inside, a value, a text, or decimal float is. Operators are many of them. The one we're looking at now, we have your plus sign, negative, multiplication, division, and so on and so forth. So all this, for this context, arithmetic expressions, is to perform calculations. So your values can either be negative or positive whole numbers, or positive or negative decimal numbers, in which case we're talking about float. So that is what you have as a definition. So it's that combination of values, variables, and operators and function calls, like your print, for example. It's a function behind the scene, and it passes the value of the variables result, and the Python knows what to do with it and then return the expected output. So all that, those expressions, and they're just building block to what you can do with Python code to perform calculation, to manipulate data and make decisions, as we'll see in the next examples. And also when we get to a chance to do an exercise where we can practice all that we've learned so far at the end of this chapter. So in this case, we have an expression, arithmetic expressions, where we have a 10 plus a 5, and so let's simplify it, remove the minus. We have a 10 plus 5 and a times 10. So we're gonna put a 2 just so we can get this. So if we run this code, what do we get? We get a 20, exactly what is written there, because Python knows that I gotta take, for example, if you go in this order from left to right, it takes the 5 plus 10 plus 5 gives you 15, but 15 times 2 is not 20. 15 times 2 is 30. So how do we get to 20? Because Python takes the order as, first of all, multiplication, then addition. And if you want to control the order in which you want Python to first perform the addition, then do the multiplication, you add the brackets and run the code, then you get a 30. So that's how you set the priority for Python to first process what's inside the bracket and then move outside the bracket and do whatever calculation was done within, then takes it out. The same goes with if you want to do something else. Let's say you have a 5 and you want to add a 1 to it. So Python will process this first in a brackets, then add the 10, then outside the bracket multiply whatever was calculated with the 2 that's outside. So let's run that code again. You see you got a 32. 5 plus 1, 6. 6 plus 10, that's 16, and 16 times 2 gives you 32. So that's how you can control the order in which you want Python to process your calculation. So that's just something to keep in mind when it comes to using this combination. And feel free to play around with the other arithmetic operators, like your negative, minus, your multiplication, your division, remainder, and a square. So these are all available for you to test and play around with. So that is all when it comes to arithmetics expression. Now we're looking at comparison expression. Comparison expression is kind of like easy to remember because what we're dealing with is two outputs. It can either be true or it can be false, nothing in between. So in this case, I'm just saying, well, let's see, is let's use a less sign. So these are your available sign. And by the way, everything that's highlighted in green, the reason why Python doesn't bother is because it's considered to be comments. So anything that is hashtag, Python doesn't run it, and it's considered to be a comment or something that is not processable. So that's just something to remember. If you want to add something else, that's just for notes or keep track or something or whatever. I've seen some people also using to do. There's a tool that allows to do that, and they can do whatever they want to do. Just so to remember, yes. So feel free to do that. Just add a hashtag in front, or else Python will run the code and won't know what to do with it. So yes, that's how we get this green. All right. So we're looking at the comparison expressions. Yes. So 5 is 5. Oh, yeah. So we have a variable and then we have an equal sign. So why is Python not complaining about us? Because Python is smart enough to know that a variable followed by equal sign simply means that whatever you do on the other side of the equal sign, assign it to equal, to is equal. A lot of sign in a way. Sign, assign, assign. Yeah. So that's what's happening. So it does this first, and whatever it finds, if there's no error and there is a result, it assigns the value or the output of the evaluation to the variables. And then we use a print, which is an inbuilt tool, to print, like, the normal printer would do, print, display, put it on paper. In our case, we're putting it on the screen or terminal. Print whatever is the value of is equal. So, and if we run that, we ask in Python, tell us is 5 less than 5, the output should be true, and that's exactly what we're getting there. So, and the same goes for your not equal to. There's exclamation mark where you can say, well, let's look at that. So is not equal to 6, the answer should be true, right? Yes. So we've tested with the less, let's say greater, and the answer should be false. And we say, is it less or equal? Less or equal? The answer should be true because it's less, but it's not equal to 6. And is it greater or equal to? So greater or equal to 6, the answer is false because it's not equal to 6. It's not either greater to 6. And then that's how you go about comparing and applying the comparison expression. Compare two values using comparison expression. Now, does the logic of using brackets applies here? In this context, can I have first compare something within and then compare without? Possibly. I'll let you try that and see what you find out. So try and use bracket and see if you can compare. What I mean is you put that, for example, like that, and you put a greater sign, and you put another one to see a greater than 5 or whatever, and see what you get out of it. So you can play around with that and just get your head around so that you can kind of practice without having to, or even use it without having to refer to documents. It just becomes second nature, and to know what to go about, what to expect at the end of an expression comparison expression. Cool. So that's all on comparison expression. And then your logical expression. You have your and, or not. These are just normal English words that we use in almost everyday conversation. So here we it's gonna sound a little bit strange because we are and a bit confusing to some extent. But remember the purpose of the video to just create some sort of awareness of what Python can do, what's available, um, more than giving you a thorough, full example, explanation as to what exactly it is. Maybe I will do that in the future, but this is just to show you some basic stuff so that you kind of get that glimpse of. I put myself in the shoe of someone who's never done Python and is not looking for an in-depth video or high level stuff, just something enough not to clog their head and also to keep them focused and want to listen further. So this is the kind of thing. So it's easy to get into heavy coding and just get lost in it and then not bring any benefit to the listener. But the purpose here is not to impress. It's more to create a strong, even a desire to want to learn more. And I think Python takes away that clutter and leaves you with what you really need to know and learn. And if at the end of the day you're able to do this by yourself, I think you made a positive step forward into learning and programming with Python. There are many other languages, but like I said, I prefer Python because of the simplicity and also the ease there is to be able to translate an everyday language into a programming language without having to learn heavy syntax. That can come after, but this is just basics and understanding that we're looking for. So on the logical expressions, those are the things that you can do. You can true or false. Ask Python what they think, and they'll say true. Well, I will go for true as well. So why false when it can be true? So these are some of the logic. There are use cases for this. I just don't have them. But I found that, this comes handy in some situation where you may need to do some sort of combine Boolean values where two variables are the outcome of some other processes that are either going to be true or false, and you want to say compare them or find some sort of logic. Basically, that's some of the things that you want to be thinking about. So if I say, for example, not false, then it should say true. So if I say not true, for example, then it should say false. It's just the opposite. So I'm sure by now you can kind of figure out, oh, well, I can see where this can be used because if a variable, for example, is equal, we do some processing before and we say, well, the value here is, let's say, true. And then we say, if the value of equal is not true, then do something. Then that kind of makes sense. Then you can start seeing where there is a use case for it. But oftentimes those things come after while you're doing some other work, and then by second nature, you just start implementing those expressions. But it's good to know so that your mind can suggest those things when you really need them. So that is the summary of today's video, where we look at the types of expressions, arithmetic expressions for plus and minus, multiplication, and so on and so forth. We look at the comparison expression where the two outputs are only your true and false. And we also look at logical expressions where we can use or, and, or not. So I hope that today's video you've learned something new. Until next time, keep well. Bye bye.